Let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this question. When was the last time you chose yourself? Not in a selfish way. Not in a forget everyone else way, but in a deep, intentional, unapologetic way. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and said, I am worth taking care of. I am worth fighting for. I am worth loving, fully and completely. If that answer made you pause, if you had to think about it, if it's been so long you can't even remember, then this video was made specifically for you. Because here's what nobody tells you: the reason most people feel stuck, exhausted, unfulfilled, and like they're just going through the motions, is not because of their circumstances. It's not because life is unfair. It's not because they're unlucky. It's because they've abandoned themselves. They've been showing up for everyone else, their job, their partner, their kids, their friends, while slowly, quietly, piece by piece, giving away every ounce of energy they have until there's nothing left. And somewhere along the way, they stop knowing who they even are anymore. If that hits close to home, welcome. You're in the right place. Today we're talking about 7 self-care practices that are going to change the way you see yourself, treat yourself, and ultimately build yourself into someone who is absolutely, undeniably, completely unstoppable. Not because the world made things easy for you, but because you finally decided to stop waiting for permission. Let's go. Why self-care is the foundation of everything. Okay, before we jump in, I need to address something really important, because when most people hear self-care, they think bubble baths and face masks and scented candles. And look, I love a good candle. No shade. But real self-care? Deep self-care? It is so much more than that. And actually treating it as just a surface-level luxury is why so many people never experience real transformation. Real self-care is the daily, disciplined, intentional act of honoring who you are, your body, your mind, your spirit, your time, your energy, your dreams. It is the foundation on which everything else in your life is built. You want better relationships? It starts with self-care. You want career success? Self-care. You want peace of mind, confidence, joy, clarity? Self-care. When you neglect yourself, everything falls apart, slowly, then all at once. And when you commit to yourself, when you actually, genuinely prioritize your own well-being, something almost miraculous starts to happen. You become a different person. Not in an overnight Instagram transformation kind of way, but in a quiet, steady, powerful kind of way. You start making better decisions. You stop tolerating things that drain you. You develop this unshakable belief in yourself that no one can take away. That is what we're building today. 7 practices. 7 pillars. 7 reasons you are about to become unstoppable. Let's get into it. Self-care 1. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. The very first, and I would argue the most important, self-care practice is this: learning to protect your energy. Your energy is your most precious resource. More than money. More than time. Because you can make more money and you can find more time. But if your energy is completely depleted, none of that matters. You can't enjoy your money when you're burned out. You can't use your time well when you're running on empty. So let me ask you, where is your energy going right now? Think about the people in your life. Think about your daily routines. Think about what you spend your mental and emotional bandwidth on. Think about what keeps you up at night. Think about the conversations that leave you feeling drained versus the ones that leave you feeling alive. Because energy leaks are everywhere. And most of them are invisible. Or at least we've normalized them so much that we don't even see them anymore. Here's what drains energy. Relationships that are one-sided. You give, and the other person takes without reciprocating, not because they're monsters, sometimes just because that's the dynamic you've allowed. Saying yes when you mean no. Every time you do this, you send a message to your subconscious that your needs don't matter. And your body hears that. Your spirit hears that. And it shows up as resentment, as fatigue, as that simmering feeling that something is always wrong but you can't quite put your finger on it. Staying in situations you've outgrown. Whether it's a job, a friendship, a living situation, or a mindset, Staying somewhere that no longer serves you is like running your car engine with the parking brake on. You're working twice as hard to go nowhere. Consuming negative content. Your social media feed, the news, toxic conversations, gossip, all of it is data that your brain is processing, whether you realize it or not. What you consume shapes how you feel, think, and operate. Replaying the past. This is a big one. Mental energy spent on things you cannot change, old regrets, past relationships, mistakes you've made, is energy that is completely unavailable for building your present and future. So what does protecting your energy actually look like? It looks like having boundaries. Real ones. Not the kind you apologize for. Not the kind you set and then immediately abandon when someone pushes back. Actual, firm, loving but clear limits on what you will and will not tolerate in your life. It looks like auditing your relationships regularly. Who lifts you up? Who pulls you down? Who challenges you to grow? Who keeps you small? This isn't about cutting everyone off dramatically. It's about being intentional about who gets your time and your heart. It looks like choosing your inputs carefully. What you read. What you watch. What you listen to. The information you allow in will shape your inner world more than almost anything else. It looks like rest. Actual rest. Not scrolling your phone while lying in bed. Not relaxing, while still mentally running through your to-do list. Real, restorative rest that allows your nervous system to come back to baseline. You cannot pour from an empty cup, we've all heard that. But here's what I want to add to it. You deserve a full cup not just so you can give to others, but so you can live fully yourself. Your life isn't a service industry. You don't exist just to meet everyone else's needs. You deserve energy to pursue your own dreams, your own joy, your own becoming. Start protecting it like it's sacred. Because it is. Self-care too, speak to yourself the way you'd speak to someone you love. Okay. This one might be the most emotionally confronting of all 7, so stay with me. I want you to think about the way you talk to yourself. Not out loud necessarily, though sometimes that too, but the running dialogue inside your head. The inner voice that narrates your life. The thoughts that come up when you make a mistake, when you look in the mirror, when you fail at something, when you compare yourself to someone else. What does that voice sound like? For a lot of people, honestly, for most people, that voice is cruel. It says things that you would never, ever say to your best friend, your child, or anyone you love. Things like, "You're so stupid. You always mess everything up. Who do you think you are to want more? You're not good enough. You're too much. You're not enough. You're too sensitive. You're too dramatic." And here's the most heartbreaking part. Most of us have heard those voices for so long that we don't even question them. We've just accepted them as truth. We think that's just who we are and what we deserve. But I need you to hear this clearly. Your inner critic is not your inner truth. That voice is often just a collection of old wounds, old experiences. Things people said to you, parents, teachers, bullies, exes, society, that you internalized and started to repeat to yourself until it became automatic. It is not the truth about who you are. So here's the practice. Talk to yourself like you're talking to someone you deeply love. When you make a mistake, instead of, "I'm such an idiot," what if you said, "That didn't go the way I hoped. What can I learn from this?" When you're struggling, instead of, "Why can't I get it together?" What if you said, "I'm going through something hard right now, and it makes sense that this is difficult. I'm doing the best I can." When you look in the mirror, instead of criticizing every flaw, what if you said, "This body has carried me through everything. This face tells the story of my life. I am worthy of love exactly as I am." This is not toxic positivity. This is not pretending everything is fine or that you're perfect. It's choosing compassion over cruelty. It's choosing to be your own ally instead of your own worst enemy. And here's what happens when you shift your self-talk. Everything shifts. Your confidence changes. Your relationship with failure changes. Your willingness to take risks changes. Your tolerance for people who treat you badly changes. Because you're no longer used to being spoken to harshly, even by yourself. Practical steps. Start noticing your self-talk. Just begin to observe it without judgment. You can't change what you can't see. When you catch a harsh thought, pause and ask, would I say this to someone I love? If the answer is no, rewrite it. Not to sugarcoat, but to offer yourself the same grace you'd offer anyone else. Affirmations can help, but only if they feel believable to you. Start small. I am learning to love myself. I am worthy of care. I am doing better than I give myself credit for. Build from there. Journaling your thoughts can also help create some distance from them. When you write down your inner critic's voice and then respond to it with compassion, you start to see that those thoughts are not facts. They're just thoughts. And thoughts can be changed. You will never become unstoppable while waging a war against yourself. The journey starts with becoming your own greatest advocate. Self-care 3. Move your body to reclaim your power. Let's talk about the body, because your physical body is not separate from your mental and emotional health. It is completely interconnected. The science on this is undeniable. Exercise, movement, physical activity, whatever you want to call it, is one of the single most powerful self-care practices available to you. Not just for how you look, not even primarily for that, but for how you feel, how you think, and how you show up in the world. Here's what happens in your brain when you move your body consistently. Your brain releases endorphins, natural mood elevators that reduce anxiety and depression symptoms. In some studies, regular exercise is as effective as antidepressant medication for mild to moderate depression. That's extraordinary. Your brain also releases serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for feelings of calm, well-being, and happiness. When serotonin is low, we feel irritable, anxious, hopeless. Movement brings it back up. And then there's dopamine, the reward chemical. When you set a physical goal and achieve it, even something small like finishing a walk or completing a workout, dopamine floods your system. Over time, this rewires your brain to believe that you are capable, that you can do hard things, that you follow through on commitments, especially commitments to yourself. This is why people who exercise regularly often report not just physical changes, but personality changes. They become more confident, more decisive, more resilient. They start saying to themselves, I do hard things. I push through discomfort. I keep going. And that mindset bleeds into every other area of their life. But here's where people get it wrong. They think movement has to be grueling to count. They think it has to look a certain way, the gym, the six-pack, the Instagram-worthy workout. And so they either do too much too fast and burn out, or they decide it's not for them and do nothing. Let go of that idea entirely. The best movement for you is the movement you will actually do consistently. That's it. That's the whole formula. Maybe that's dancing in your kitchen for 20 minutes. Maybe it's a walk around your neighborhood while listening to your favorite podcast. Maybe it's yoga, swimming, cycling, hiking, jumping rope, or lifting weights. Maybe it's stretching for 10 minutes every morning just to reconnect with your body. The point is this: when you move your body, you are sending a message to your mind that you are someone worth taking care of. You are someone who shows up for themselves. You are someone who does the thing even when it's inconvenient. And that feeling of being someone who honors their commitments to themselves, that is the beginning of becoming unstoppable. Start where you are. Start small. Start today. Because every single step you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. Self-care 4. Feed your mind as intentionally as you feed your body. Most people are incredibly thoughtful about what they eat. They read labels. They count calories. They think about nutrition and how food makes them feel. But those same people will spend 3 hours a day consuming content that is draining, divisive, anxiety-inducing, and completely counter to the life they say they want to build. Here's the truth: your mind is always eating. It's always consuming something. Your social media feed, conversations, podcasts, books, news, TV shows, the thoughts you think, the memories you replay. All of it is food for your mind. And just like physical food, the quality of what you consume directly impacts how you feel, how you think, and who you're becoming. This is what I call mental nutrition, and it is one of the most transformative self-care practices you can adopt. Think about this. If you spent even 20 minutes a day reading books that expand your mind, inspire your spirit, and challenge your thinking, over the course of a year, you would have read roughly 12 to 18 books. If those books are carefully chosen, books about mindset, strategy, history, healing, personal development, philosophy, biographies of people who overcame the impossible, who would you be a year from now? Different. Profoundly different. Now add to that, podcasts that educate and inspire, conversations with people who are where you want to be, documentaries that open your perspective, journaling that helps you process, reflect, and clarify, meditation that creates space between stimulus and response, giving you the chance to think rather than just react. This is not about being a productivity robot. This is not about filling every moment of silence with content. In fact, silence itself is some of the best mental nutrition. Giving your mind space to rest, wander, create, and just be, that is incredibly nourishing. But it is about being intentional. About asking yourself regularly, is what I'm consuming moving me toward the person I want to be, or is it keeping me stuck? A few practical ideas. Unfollow or mute social media accounts that make you feel inadequate, anxious, or envious. Follow accounts that inspire, educate, and uplift. Curate your feed the way you curate your bookshelf. Replace mindless scrolling with purposeful reading. Even 15 minutes a day with a good book is transformative over time. Be selective about what conversations you participate in. Gossip and negativity are contagious, but so is optimism, creativity, and ambition. Pick one podcast, audiobook, or online course in an area you want to grow, and commit to it. Invest in your own education. You are the best investment you will ever make. And finally, journal. I cannot say this enough. Writing down your thoughts, fears, goals, gratitudes, and reflections is one of the most powerful ways to understand yourself, clear mental clutter, and track your own growth over time. Even 5 minutes a day can be revelatory. Your mind is a garden. What you plant in it will grow. Plant wisely. Self-care 5. Rest as a revolutionary act. We live in a culture that glorifies the grind. Sleep when you're dead. Hustle harder. No days off. Rise and grind. These phrases are everywhere, and they've convinced an entire generation of people that resting is lazy. That taking a break means you don't want it badly enough. That if you're not exhausted, you're not working hard enough. And I am here to tell you that this is one of the most damaging lies we've collectively accepted. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. Rest is the foundation of productivity. It is the foundation of creativity, of clarity, of health, of joy, of longevity, of sustainability. You cannot build an unstoppable life on a depleted body and a foggy mind. You just can't. And yet so many of us are trying to do exactly that, running on caffeine and willpower and sheer force of personality, wondering why we feel like we're constantly behind, constantly overwhelmed, constantly one small inconvenience away from a complete breakdown. The answer is almost always, you need rest. Real, guilt-free, intentional rest. Let's talk about what rest actually is. Because a lot of people think they're resting when they're actually not. Scrolling your phone is not rest. Your brain is still actively processing information. Studies consistently show that screen time, especially social media, actually increases feelings of anxiety and inadequacy. Your nervous system does not experience it as restful. Watching stressful TV while half asleep is not rest. Your mind is still engaged, still processing emotion and narrative. Lying in bed worrying is definitely not rest. Real rest looks like sleep, prioritized, protected, consistent sleep. Not as a reward for a productive day but as a non-negotiable foundation for every day. 7 to 9 hours for most adults. A consistent sleep schedule. A wind-down routine that tells your nervous system, it's safe to let go now. Stillness, sitting quietly. Meditation. Prayer. Breathing. Doing nothing with full intentionality. This is one of the most powerful things you can do, and one of the hardest for people in this culture to allow themselves. If you've never tried a 10-minute guided meditation, I genuinely encourage you to tonight. The shift in your nervous system is almost immediate. Time in nature. There is decades of research showing that time outdoors, especially in green spaces or near water, lowers cortisol, reduces blood pressure, improves mood, and restores mental clarity in ways that almost nothing else can. Go outside. Walk barefoot in the grass. Sit by a body of water. Let the world remind you that you are small in the best possible way, part of something vast and ancient and beautiful. Play, doing things purely for the joy of them. Not for productivity. Not for social media. Not because it's impressive. But because it feels good. Paint. Cook. Dance. Laugh. Play with a child or a pet. Play is one of the most underrated forms of emotional restoration available to us. Alone time. And this one is critical for introverts especially, though extroverts need it too. Time that is truly, completely yours. Not committed to anyone. Not performing for anyone. Just you, with yourself. To think, to breathe, to remember who you are outside of your roles and responsibilities. When you commit to rest, when you treat it not as a luxury but as a requirement, something shifts in your entire relationship with life. You stop feeling like you're constantly behind. You start making better decisions. You find creative solutions more easily. You handle stress with more grace. You show up with more presence, more patience, more peace. Rest is not giving up. Rest is gearing up. It is how you sustain the kind of life that actually matters. Self-care 6. Build a life you don't need to escape from. Here's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. So many people's idea of self-care is escape. Escape from their job. Escape from their responsibilities. Escape from the life they're living. The vacation. The night out. The glass of wine. The show they binge to shut their brain off. The fantasy of a completely different life. And I understand that. I genuinely do. When life feels overwhelming or unfulfilling or like it doesn't fit who you really are, of course you want to escape it. But here's the deeper practice. The harder, more transformative, more sustainable practice. Build a life you don't need to escape from. This doesn't mean a perfect life. It doesn't mean no hard days, no stress, no challenges. It means a life that is genuinely, authentically yours. A life aligned with your values, your gifts, your desires, your truth. Because here's what escape does. It offers temporary relief from something that will still be there when you return. The job you hate is still there Monday morning. The relationship you're not happy in is still there. The version of yourself you don't recognize is still there. Escape doesn't solve, it just postpones. But building? Building creates actual change. This looks like knowing what you actually want. Not what your parents wanted for you. Not what society says you should want. Not what looks good on paper or impresses people. What do you want? Who do you want to be? What kind of days do you want to live? This requires real honesty and often real courage. Doing work that means something to you. This doesn't have to be your job. Not everyone can monetize their passion, and that's okay. But it means having something in your life that engages your gifts and fills you with a sense of purpose. A creative project. Volunteering. A side endeavor. Something that reminds you that you have something to offer the world. Cultivating relationships that feel like home. Friendships and partnerships built on genuine love, mutual respect, honesty, and growth. Not relationships you stay in out of habit or obligation or fear. Relationships that light you up. Living in a way that reflects your values. When your outer life and your inner values are misaligned, you feel it. It's a constant, low-grade tension that never quite resolves. When you live in alignment, even imperfectly, there's a peace that settles in. A sense of rightness. Pursuing something that scares you. Growth is never fully comfortable. And a life that never stretches you, a life lived entirely inside your comfort zone, eventually starts to feel like a very small prison. The things you dream about but haven't started? The goals you've been putting off until conditions are perfect. Those things are not extra. They are essential. They are part of what makes you you. Here's the thing about becoming unstoppable. It doesn't mean you never struggle. It means you're building something so meaningful, so aligned, so genuinely yours that even on the hard days, you know why you're doing it. You stop waiting for the weekend to live. You stop counting down to vacation. You stop needing to numb or escape, because the life you're living is one you actually want to be in. That is the ultimate self-care. Building a life you love. Self-care 7. Commit to your own becoming, every single day. And here we are. Self-care number 7. And it is the one that ties all the others together. The one without which none of the others will stick. Commit to your own becoming. Every single day. Not just when you're motivated. Not just on the days when the sun is out and everything feels possible, and you've slept well and your coffee is perfect and you're feeling like a main character. Every single day. On the days when you're tired. When you're overwhelmed. When nothing seems to be working. When you've slipped back into old habits and you feel like you're starting from zero again. When you're comparing yourself to others and feeling completely behind. When the voice in your head is loudest and the vision in your heart seems furthest away. Those are the days the commitment matters most. Because becoming unstoppable is not a destination. It's not something you arrive at and then you're done. It's a practice. It's a daily choice. It's the accumulated weight of 1,000 small decisions, made consistently over time, that transforms you from the person you used to be into the person you were always meant to become. Here's what that commitment looks like in practice. Show up for yourself even when no one is watching. Do the journaling when no one knows about it. Take the walk when no one is cheering you on. Make the healthy choice when no one is clapping. Read the book. Do the inner work. Keep the promise you made to yourself. Because every time you do, you build trust with yourself, and self-trust is the bedrock of confidence. Let go of the all or nothing mentality. This one trips so many people up. You miss a day of exercise and then decide the whole week is ruined. You eat something unhealthy and then write off the entire diet. You slip into a negative mindset and decide you haven't changed at all. Stop it. Progress is not linear. Growth is not perfect. The goal is not to never fall down. The goal is to get back up faster each time you do. Celebrate your progress, not just your destination. You stayed patient in a situation that would have triggered you 6 months ago? That's growth. Celebrate it. You set a boundary that felt terrifying? Celebrate it. You chose rest instead of guilt? Celebrate it. You spoke kindly to yourself during a hard moment? Celebrate it. These are not small things. These are the real victories. Notice them. Find your people. Surround yourself with people who are also committed to growth. Who believe in something more than just getting through the day. Who challenge you, inspire you, celebrate you, and refuse to let you shrink. You will not build an unstoppable life alone, and you don't have to. Community is a form of self-care. Have patience with the process. Transformation is slow. Slow enough that on any given Tuesday you might not be able to see it. But zoom out. Look at who you were a year ago. 5 years ago. See how far you've come. Trust that the seeds you're planting right now are growing, even underground, even when you can't see them yet. And finally, and I want you to really hear this last part. You are worthy of the life you're dreaming about. Not someday. Not once you've lost the weight, or healed all your wounds, or achieved all your goals, or figured everything out. Right now. As you are. With all your mess and your magic and your unfinished edges and your big, impossible dreams. You are not too late. You are not too much. You are not too broken. You are not too far gone. You are someone in the process of becoming. And that process, messy, nonlinear, beautiful, hard, is one of the most sacred things a human being can undertake. So do it. Protect your energy. Speak kindly to yourself. Move your body. Feed your mind. Rest without guilt. Build a life that is truly yours. And commit to your becoming, every single day, with everything you have. Because when you do, When you actually, genuinely, consistently choose yourself, you become someone the world cannot stop. Someone that even you couldn't have imagined. Someone who looks back one day at this exact moment, this moment right now where something in you said, yes, this is for me, and feels nothing but deep, unshakable gratitude. That is what's waiting for you on the other side of this. Becoming unstoppable starts here. Okay, let's recap really quickly. 7 self-care practices for becoming unstoppable. Number 1. Protect your energy like it's sacred. Because it is. Number 2. Speak to yourself the way you'd speak to someone you love. Number 3. Move your body to reclaim your power. Number 4. Feed your mind as intentionally as you feed your body. Number 5. Rest as a revolutionary, unapologetic act. Number 6. Build a life you don't need to escape from. And number 7. Commit to your own becoming, every single day, no matter what. If this video resonated with you, if even one of these practices hit different today, please do me a favor. Like this video, share it with one person who needs to hear it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And drop a comment below. I genuinely read them all. And tell me, which of these 7 practices are you going to start with today? I want to know. Let's hold each other accountable. You are not in this alone. You never were. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. You are so worth it. Please subscribe for more.